Hi, and welcome back. You are watching our Tesla modeling case study. The next task on our agenda is forecasting PP&E. This is one of the most challenging aspects when building an integrated three-statement financial model. The property, plant, and equipment schedule sheet is also where we will calculate depreciation and amortization. It links the P&L and the balance sheet. To forecast PP&E, we have to take into account beginning PP&E, the initial value at the start of the period we are considering. Capex, the amount of capital expenditure we invest into PP&E. This shows us how much new PP&E we acquired. And D&A, which helps us take into account that some of our existing PP&E is older and its value decreases in time. So naturally, the more a company spends on Capex and the less D&A it registers, the higher its ending PP&E will be after a given period. On the opposite, if a firm does not spend a sufficient amount on Capex and its D&A is higher, then we would expect ending PP&E to be lower than beginning PP&E. Okay, perfect. There are two main ways to forecast Capex. One of them is to model Capex with respect to beginning PP&E. In this case, the amount of Capex spent by the company will be a function of beginning PP&E. If the percentage of beginning PP&E is reasonably high, and assets are amortized at a slower pace, then this would mean that Tesla's PP&E would grow in time. Alternatively, we could use revenues as a driver. This makes sense because growing revenues go hand in hand with expanding existing and building new plants, and thus spending on Capex. However, this would also penalize the company, as we'll assume that every inch of growth of its business means that new Capex needs to be spent. That's rarely the case. So our main scenario will be scenario 1. Nevertheless, people using the model will be able to choose between the two ways of calculation when we model the selection between the two calculation parameters with the choose function. Please notice that when I change the respective case here, the text cell to the left updates as well. This has been done by combining the ampersand and choose functions. The AND function helps us combine the first part, which is pure text, and the second part, which is text that is adjusted according to the scenario we are in. That's a nice technique to have in your arsenal. Our next task is to estimate the drivers for the two scenarios. What are some reasonable percentages to be applied? I'll need you to trust me on this for a second. For Capex, as an expenditure of PP&E, I'll take the average percentage observed historically, and we'll apply it to H2 2018. From that moment onwards, we'll have 60%, 40%, 30%, and 20% for the rest of the periods. How about Capex as a percentage of revenues? Well, let's apply the average value observed historically for the second half of 2018 and 2019. And then the incidence on revenue will go down to 20%, 15%, and 10% for all periods onwards. Perfect. I'll calculate Capex using these values. What can reassure me these values are okay? Well, once we are ready with our complete fixed asset roll forward, I'll compare the D&A figures we obtain as a percentage of revenues with the ones of other companies from the industry. We can't really do that with Capex because it is very difficult to obtain Capex data. Right, so all I need to do to obtain Capex is apply these percentage figures to their respective driver. Of course, I'll do that using choose. This time, our index value is in this sheet. It is cell C3. I'll fix both its references. Then the first value will be given by Capex as a percentage of PP&E multiplied by beginning PP&E. The second value will be given by Capex as a percentage of revenue multiplied by revenue in that period. Okay, this is our full year 2018 Capex. I can easily calculate the Capex in the second part of 2018 by taking the difference. Now I can paste the Capex formula to the right. But it will result in zeros, because we also need our D&A schedule to progress in parallel. Otherwise, we can't calculate an ending PP&E, which is the beginning PP&E for the next period. In our next video, we'll do all of that and complete the entire fixed asset roll forward. Thanks for watching.